Let me guess. You've been feeling invisible lately, like no matter how much good you do, it goes unnoticed. You watch people rise, succeed, get chosen, while you stay quiet, forgotten, left behind. You're not lazy, you're not ungrateful, you're just tired of wondering why your moment hasn't come yet. But what if I told you? You were never forgotten. You were hidden by Allah on purpose, for something bigger than you've ever imagined. Because sometimes the strongest souls are the ones He keeps in the shadows the longest. 1. You keep feeling like you're not enough. But what if Allah is protecting you from settling for less? You scroll through your feed and it feels like everyone has it all figured out. They look confident, they're smiling, their life looks full, loved, celebrated, seen. And you? You sit there wondering why you still feel so incomplete, why you question yourself over and over again, why you look in the mirror and feel like something's missing. It hurts. And the worst part, you can't explain it to anyone, but here's something your heart needs to hear. Maybe Allah is the one who placed that discomfort inside you, not to hurt you, but to protect you from something far worse. Because if you felt enough in the wrong place, you might have stayed there. You might have accepted a job that would have destroyed your peace. You might have married someone who would have drained your soul. You might have built a life that looked beautiful on the outside, but left you empty on the inside. So what did Allah do? He let you feel the sting of not enough. He let you feel disconnected, different, lost, because He didn't want you to attach to what was never meant for you. He wanted you to grow, not sideways, not backward, but upward. And that kind of growth, it takes silence. It takes loneliness. It takes feeling like the world forgot you, while Allah was quietly building you. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're just being reshaped for something that won't break your heart when you finally receive it. So if you've ever whispered to yourself, "I'm not enough," try this instead. I'm still becoming the version of me that won't settle for less than what Allah wrote. Because when you finally step into that chapter, you'll look back at this pain and say, "Ya Allah, thank you for not letting me accept less than what I'm truly worth." 2. Every time you heal, something else breaks. But what if that's how Allah is awakening the strongest you? You finally start to feel okay. You breathe a little, smile a little, sleep a little deeper. And then, out of nowhere, something else breaks. Another disappointment, another test, another moment where your heart sinks all over again. And you just sit there thinking, why can't I catch a break? Why does healing feel so temporary, so fragile? You feel like life is this cycle of fixing one thing, only to watch something else fall apart. And honestly, it gets exhausting. But what if I told you this constant breaking isn't a sign that you're failing? What if it's the opposite? What if every crack in your heart is really a doorway to a new kind of strength Allah wants you to discover? Because there are some strengths you'll never access until something inside you gets shattered first. Maybe Allah is awakening a version of you that's more patient than you've ever been, more grateful than you've ever felt, more connected to Him than you've ever imagined. You weren't created for comfort. You were created for growth. And real growth isn't soft. It's silent, it's slow, and it almost always feels like breaking at first. The truth is, you don't become stronger by getting what you want. You become stronger by surviving what you never asked for. And right now, that strength is being born inside you. Not the kind of strength people see, but the kind only Allah sees. The kind that builds in your du'as, in your private tears, in your quiet patience, in the way you still say Alhamdulillah, even when your heart feels heavy. You're not just healing, you're evolving. And yes, healing might not look like a straight line. It might look like starting over 100 times. It might feel like you're breaking more than you're building. But with every piece that falls apart, Allah is placing something eternal in its place. So keep walking, even if your steps are slow, even if your hands are trembling, because one day you'll look back and realize those breakdowns weren't setbacks. They were sacred awakenings, and you didn't just survive them. You became someone unshakable because of them. 3, you keep being misunderstood, because your light is meant to shine quietly, not loudly. You try your best to be kind, to speak from the heart, to stay away from drama, to bring peace wherever you go. But somehow, people still misunderstand you. They misread your silence. They twist your intentions. They label you things that have nothing to do with who you really are. And after a while, it starts to hurt. Not because you want to be praised, but because it's painful to be misunderstood when your heart was always clean. You ask yourself, why do they always get me wrong? Why do people assume the worst about me, even when I stay silent? But maybe this pain isn't a sign that something's wrong with you. Maybe it's proof that your soul is too rare to be recognized by most. Some hearts are so soft, so pure, so sincere, that this noisy world simply can't process them. You weren't made to be loud. You weren't made to perform. You weren't made to explain yourself 100 times just to be accepted. You were made to shine quietly, to love deeply, to walk humbly. And sometimes your light will only be noticed by the ones whose eyes aren't clouded by ego or jealousy or judgment. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was called a liar before he was called a prophet. Yusuf, alayhi as-salam, was accused before he was honored. Maryam, alayhi as-salam, was slandered before she was praised. The world misunderstood every soul that was chosen by Allah. So what makes you think you'll be treated differently? If your heart feels lonely, it doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. It might mean you're exactly where Allah wants you to be. He's teaching you to stop needing applause, to stop explaining yourself, to stop begging for people to get you, because the one who created your heart already understands it better than anyone else ever could. And when Allah understands you, it doesn't matter who doesn't. So don't dim your light just because others can't handle it. Don't silence your sincerity just because it makes others uncomfortable. You weren't sent here to be understood by everyone. You were sent to live your truth and let Allah handle the rest. One day, the same people who misunderstood you will look at how far you've come and realize, we never really knew who they were, but Allah did. And that will be more than enough. 4. You're still in the same place for years. But what if that's where Allah hid your greatest test and your greatest reward? You've been in the same place for what feels like forever. Same home, same job, same routine, same pain. While others are moving, growing, relocating, marrying, achieving, you're still here, still waiting, still wondering, why does nothing ever change for me? Why do I feel stuck no matter how hard I try to move forward? And it starts to sink in, that heavy feeling, like life skipped over you, like Allah isn't listening, like maybe you're not chosen after all. But here's what you don't see yet. Maybe this place, this ordinary, invisible, difficult place you've been planted in, is actually sacred, because some of the biggest transformations in your soul don't happen in new cities or new jobs or new marriages. They happen when nothing around you changes, but everything inside you does. What if this delay is not a punishment, but a test that's so important Allah won't let you leave until you pass it? What if there's something inside you that can only be healed here, in the silence, in the sameness, in the waiting? You see, your environment may feel small, but your patience inside it is growing something massive, something eternal. Some people travel the world and still feel lost, but you might be standing in one place for years and still be traveling closer and closer to Allah. Because it's not about changing locations, it's about letting Allah change you. Maybe your reward is not somewhere else, maybe it's right here. But you'll only see it once your heart passes the test Allah hid beneath the surface. Sometimes He hides the treasure in the most uncomfortable places. He hides the answer where the pain is. He hides the turning point inside the waiting. You're not stuck. You're being anchored, so when the winds come, you don't break. And one day, when your heart is ready, Allah will move you in a way that's effortless. Doors will open so easily, you'll cry from shock. But until that day comes, remember this: just because your feet haven't moved doesn't mean your soul hasn't grown wings. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are exactly where Allah needs you to be, for your soul to rise. 5. You're tired of starting over. But what if Allah keeps resetting your life to remove what's not meant for the end? You build something, piece by piece, hope by hope, dua by dua. And just when it starts to feel safe, when you finally let yourself breathe, it all comes crashing down. Again, the plan falls apart, the job slips away, the relationship ends. The dream you were so close to disappears overnight. And in the silence that follows, your heart whispers, Ya Allah, how many times do I have to start over? It feels unfair, heavy, endless. You're tired of new beginnings. You just want something to stay. You just want something to work. But what if Allah isn't being cruel? What if He's being careful? What if the reason your life keeps resetting isn't because you're doing something wrong, but because He's protecting your final chapter? You see, Allah sees the end, the moment your soul returns to Him, clean and whole. And sometimes, the people you love now can't walk with you all the way there. Sometimes the habits you cling to now will poison the blessings He wants to give you later. So what does He do? He resets your life. He removes what would have ruined you, even if you loved it, even if you begged to keep it. Because Allah doesn't just want you to be happy right now, He wants you to be safe forever. That's why it ends suddenly. That's why it falls apart after so much effort. That's why you're left wondering why it slipped through your fingers, when all you wanted to do was hold on. But holding on to the wrong thing is sometimes more dangerous than having nothing at all. And maybe you were so close to settling for a version of your life that would have stolen your purpose. So Allah did what only He could do. He took it from you, so He could give you something that wouldn't leave you later. Every reset you've faced wasn't a rejection of your dua. It was a redirection to your real destiny. So even if your heart is tired, even if your hands are trembling from starting over again, know this: each time Allah resets your path, He's making sure that what's at the end of it is something that will never break your heart again. Something permanent, something pure, something that waits for no one but you. Keep rebuilding, and this time, don't rush the process. Trust the one who already wrote the ending. 6. Your kindness feels like a curse. But what if Allah is letting it hurt so it can turn into power? You're kind. You give when it's inconvenient. You forgive when it still hurts. You stay silent to protect someone else's dignity, even when they never protected yours. And deep down, you wonder if your kindness is a curse. Because every time you choose gentleness, someone takes advantage. Every time you try to help, someone uses you and leaves. And every time you finally say, maybe they'll appreciate it this time, they don't. You start to ask yourself, why do I always end up the one hurt? Why do the people with the softest hearts bleed the most? But maybe this pain you're feeling isn't a punishment. Maybe it's a process. What if Allah is allowing your kindness to hurt, so it can become strength, not weakness? Not the kind of strength that hardens you, but the kind that teaches you how to give without breaking. Because pure hearts don't become powerful by being untouched. They become powerful by learning to stand, even after they've been broken for the 100th time. Allah sees what no one else sees. How you lower your voice when you're angry. How you swallow your pain to protect others. How you cry alone so no one feels guilty for what they did. And He's not ignoring it. He's using it to shape something unshakable in you. You're not weak for being soft. You're not foolish for forgiving. You're just being trained to love the way He loves, with wisdom, with boundaries, with beauty. One day you'll give again, but your giving will be grounded. One day you'll help again, but your heart will be armored by experience. One day you'll still be kind, but no one will be able to destroy you for it, because what hurt you now is the very thing that will protect you later. This isn't the end of your kindness. This is the evolution of it. So if you're kind and it feels like a curse right now, just remember, Allah isn't trying to take that purity from you. He's just trying to teach you how to carry it without letting it carry your pain. 7. Your dreams keep fading. But what if Allah is deleting your plan to write a story with no regrets? You had a vision, a dream that made you feel alive. Something you prayed for every night, imagined every morning, held on to every time life felt dull, and now it's fading, falling apart, or maybe already gone. You did everything right. You made dua, you worked hard, you waited. And still, it slipped away like it was never meant for you. And that's the pain no one talks about. When the dream doesn't just die, it dies slowly, quietly, without warning, without reason. You wonder, why would Allah give me the desire and then not give me the outcome? But maybe He did answer, just not in the way you expected. Maybe He took away the dream to protect you from the version of yourself that would have come with it. Because not every goal brings joy. Not every success brings peace. Not every yes would have left you whole. Sometimes Allah lets the dream fade, so He can write you a life with no regrets. You think you lost time, but maybe you just lost the illusion of a future that was never good for you. You think you failed, but maybe you just outgrew something your soul was never meant to carry. And yes, it's painful to let go. Painful to release something you once believed in with all your heart. But what's even more painful is holding on to a dream that was never written for you in the first place. So Allah removes it, not because you're not worthy, but because you're worthy of something greater. Something that won't demand you to shrink, to settle, to suffer. You see the dream dying, but Allah sees your story unfolding. And He's writing it in a way where you'll look back one day and say, I thought I lost everything, but this life Allah gave me instead was everything I didn't even know I needed. So no, your dream didn't die. It transformed. From something you wanted into something you'll one day be grateful you didn't get, because the plan you made was based on what you knew. But the life Allah is writing for you, that's based on what only He knows, and He knows the version of you that will have no regrets. 8. You've been too quiet for too long, but what if Allah saved your voice for the moment it would actually matter? You've stayed quiet for so long. You swallowed your opinions. You held back your emotions. You kept your pain tucked away inside your chest because no one really asked how you were. And even if they did, you didn't think they'd understand. And now, that silence has become part of you. It's not that you don't have anything to say. It's that you've learned to protect your voice, because every time you used it before, it got ignored, or worse, twisted. So you stopped speaking, you stopped sharing, you stopped expecting to be heard. But what if I told you this silence was never a sign that you were unimportant? What if your voice has been preserved by Allah for something greater? Because your voice is powerful, not in volume, but in truth. And truth, when it's spoken at the wrong time, to the wrong people, can be wasted, or even weaponized. So Allah protected it. He hid it, not to silence you forever, but to prepare the world for the moment when your voice will finally be heard and felt. That moment might not be loud. It might not go viral. It might not even come with applause, but it will be divinely timed. Because when Allah decides it's your moment to speak, you won't need to raise your voice. You won't need to explain yourself 100 times. You'll say one sentence, and hearts will shift. Souls will soften. Doors will open. Your voice will carry weight, because it was carried through silence, pain, and patience. You see, sometimes the ones who are quiet for the longest are the ones who end up changing the most and helping others do the same. So if you feel like you've been forgotten, if your voice feels locked inside your own heart, remember, Allah never wastes your silence. He uses it to sharpen your message, to clean your heart, to build your sincerity. Because when your moment comes, it won't just be you speaking. It will be Allah placing the right words on your tongue at the exact moment they were meant to be heard. And that's not just a voice, that's purpose. So wait, not with frustration, but with faith. Because silence is not your weakness. It's the sacred space where Allah prepares your voice. For the moment, it will finally matter. And when that moment arrives, it will shake the hearts it was meant for. So, if you've been hidden, if you've been delayed, if you feel like life passed you by, remember, Allah doesn't hide what's worthless. He hides what's precious. He hides what He's still preparing. And one day, when you least expect it, He'll bring you out of the shadows, not to be seen by the world, but to finally step into what was always yours. Until then, stay patient, stay sincere, stay close to Him. Because what's coming will make you thank Him for every time you were overlooked. If this touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who feels forgotten. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, because your soul deserves reminders like this. Your time is coming. And when it does, it will feel like you never missed a thing. Just wait on Allah.